Okay. Welcome back to Restaurant to Another World. Anime Review episode number 6. This I'm viewing the 12th and final episode of season 1 for the show. Not for the series, just season 1. Yep. Now, in case you might ask, is there any new character introduced this episode? No, there really isn't. We got a couple new foods. We have the introduction of pork soup on Meat Day, yes. By the way, the second episode in a row where we have Kuro actually talking via with her mouth instead of just using telepathy a lot of the time. This kind of started at the end of the last episode, episode 11, and it continues in this episode. Yep. So, we do get one thing introduced here. We get some revelations about the hero who captured the lion man several episodes back, when he had his introduction to like his backstory into how he got to the restaurant, where he's no friend of the Sage, aka Croquettes, where they actually don't get a chance to go into his backstory very much. Apparently, this episode reveals that he was actually one of the heroes. Yep, he's one of the heroes, and like the elf basically was very shocked to see the fact that he was still alive. Of course, they do one other character is still alive, and he's related to somebody in the series. Well, she gets revealed it's a woman. So they explain this particular character apparently died fighting destroying a demon god. Of course, this is right after they fought a war with Demon Lord. So this particular hero named Jansen, I think her name is, where she fought the Demon Lord and then apparently she died. Though it was later revealed she actually survived and isekai'd herself. Well, basically, she reversed isekai herself from the fantasy world to the real world. And it's suggested by the end of the episode that she's actually still alive. Though they don't talk to the master about it. So, the two girls arrive. Kiro and Anita arrive basically for their shift. And of course they have breakfast, which is basically like, of course, the pork soup. Oh, that's for the customers. And some else for dinner later. So, the elf basically went to go visit his friend, who recommends going later because of certain people who probably don't like him very much, like the lizard man and probably the lion man. The lion man, I don't know if he's actually forgiven him for selling him become a gladiator per se, but yeah, he probably did not want to. He probably had a very good reason. Well, can you give me the restaurant? Of course, sure, no problem. Well, let's go later on because there's not much customers at that point. Because certain people who probably want to hurt you. That's the truth. So, they wait a while. So, they introduce pork soup. On something called Meat Day. Excuse me. And you're thinking, Meat Day? Well, it was explained by the master that this comes once a month. Not like once every week per se, once a month. So, and they thought giving away this free soup with their meals, that, would the rest of the cover for this? Oh yeah, it's perfectly fine. They use once a month. It's perfectly fine. Yep. So, not really much going on with this one. And, well, then of course after everybody leaves and after everybody tries the pork soup, and then the elf finally gets a chance to come to the restaurant. He was seen, like I said, one episode aside from this one, where it's like, we were wondering when we were going to show up. So, he shows up because of this elf, and of course they try the croquettes. So of course they try it so delicious. Of course, try the soy sauce, which, yeah, it's soy sauce. I've tried soy sauce before by itself. It made me sick when I had it. So anytime I come across soy sauce, I just politely pass on it because I do not want to get sick again. So after they eat the sauce, after they eat the sauce, the food, they try the pork soup, and then of course everybody has their own particular dinner. Well, they also have it where the princess, when she leaves, and of course, I can't remember his name here. One of Rico voices. I had to look it up on here. Excuse me. This will take just a minute to find out here. No, not Alad. Sheriff. Yes. and Renar. Now, sure, it was as he was going to confess to her, he was talking to her today, but he got cold feet. And then we see her actually outside of this. Because a lot of time we see in this area, with the exception of her debut, she's usually just eating her chocolate parfait. And when we see her, she runs to go see the gravesite of her late grandfather and great grandmother. And then we have the elf there. Yes, the elf, who was one of the great heroes. His name is Alexander. So after basically being kind of disrespectful toward him, basically just tossing a bouquet of flowers on the ground. Of course, he doesn't do anything to the former lover. He does, well, not get along with his son very much. And then the princess sees him and is like, "Oh, what are you doing here at the graves of my grandfather, my great grandmother?" And then he just like thinks about like, so this princess is my great granddaughter. That's what he probably thinks. Like, wow, so she's related to one of the heroes. Awesome. So does that mean she's going to have a half elf in their family because he's an elf? I like the fact we get a chance to explore a little of the fact he's a womanizer. That's quite interesting. But aside from that, you can't exactly. Aside from the fact we reveal he is related to Princess Wilhan, aside from that, there's not really a lot. Excuse me. Where, aside from that, of course, we have. So, yeah, basically we kind of wrap it up here with this episode, and yeah, with this one here, there's not really like a lot to say. I mean, in the case of previous episodes, was a good amount to say. Pork soup. It's just basically soup. It's basically pork with vegetables. That's simply all it is. Yep. And Amber got a chance to try with their food, which is quite nice. And you can't really say like a lot of really new stuff in the Juicy aside from the fact we introduced two new things. And maybe finally see the croquets that the sorcerer have been eating the whole series. But not real life revelations here per se. Also, in case you're curious though, like how much of the like what is adapted from Oh yeah, by the way, there is another revelation that the master is the grandson of the elf's hero. Like, that's interesting. Yep. And by the way, this episode covered pretty much basically chapter 28 of book 2 and chapter 60 of book 3. Yep, I have not read book 3 yet, but I'll probably read this one soon. Yep. But not really much else to say about this one, per se. And of course, everybody just tries the food. Like, basically, in the way, the best way to summarize this episode is that it's like we have every Imperial restaurant who appeared throughout this, who popped up throughout this whole entire thing. Heck, we even have a brief camp of the Red Queen. Doesn't speak in the episode. We do briefly see her from the back, but it's her. And, well, that's how the season ends. That was 4 years ago, but luckily enough, we do have a season 2. Yep, a season 2 of the show. And I will be definitely back to the series soon. It'll probably be after I finish up reading books 3 and 4. That's when I'll be pretty much back to the series. So it'll be sometime soon, per se. I'll be back to the series just to watch a few episodes. Yeah, I'd say as of right now, it'll probably be the first few episodes, per se. Yeah. One episode looks interesting to me, especially since it relates to one of the characters. Yep. But yeah, that's a particular view. Okay, here's something before I should go. There's a few videos I'm going to do today. One, of course, is going to be One Piece, because they released new episodes. The final finish of Dressrosa, I'm going to do a review for that. Shaman King, and, of course, Case Closed. Excuse me, the order I'm going to do first. It's One Piece for a few episodes, watch Case Closed, and then go back to do Shaman King, and then I'll back to One Piece later on, per se. Yep. But until we see the next video, which will be One Piece.